Hi, Dave here again. Following on from my series on the guitar, I'm going to do a few short videos around the ukulele. As with the guitar resources, I'm not going to be teaching you a comprehensive guide to every chord you'll ever need to play. I'm not going to be teaching a collection of songs. These are just thoughts and ideas around the instrument, how to use it, what you can do on it. Take from it what you will. I hope there are things in here that, whether you're a complete beginner or whether you're a more accomplished player, will interest you. Feel free to share the ideas, of course. So this is really part one of two as an introduction to the instrument. I'm going to start right at the very beginning and talk about the different sizes of ukuleles that you can get. So as the ukuleles get bigger, the pitch goes lower. So starting at the top pitch, the smallest, that's the soprano, and we'll have a look at one of those in a moment. Then moving on, you have the concert, the tenor and the baritone. The soprano, the concert and the tenor are all tuned to the same notes, but the concert and tenor are an octave lower than the soprano. I'll demonstrate that in a minute and we'll see some. Okay, there are also different qualities of instruments and I want to cover that before we really get going. So let's have a look at a soprano. This is the size of a soprano. This particular instrument, as you can see, is signed, and it's signed by staff and patients at a hospital where I worked as a music therapist. And in that, it's very valuable to me. It's valuable as a leaving card, not as an instrument. This would cost something around £20. Nobody in their right mind would expect to buy an instrument for that kind of money that is going to give you a lot of pleasure to play or listen to. It just doesn't. It's not made of any wood you would expect to resonate beautifully. It's made of just some sort of generic type plywood. I wouldn't recommend anybody getting an instrument like this to learn on. That's not the same of all soprano instruments, of course. There are some beautifully made, beautifully crafted and beautifully sounding instruments. This is not one of them. As I say, for me this is hugely valuable, but as a leaving card, not as an instrument. This is a larger instrument. This is a tenor ukulele. I don't have any concerts, but concerts are slightly smaller than this. This is an instrument that's made of a laminated mahogany. I've had this for about 10 years. It cost me £100. Probably you could pick it up now for something like 150, 160 maybe. And a great instrument to learn on. To play, I personally prefer the size of tenors. That's got a ring and a sustain to it, which will do you well as you start to learn. So, kind of recommend something like this as a starter instrument. This is another tenor, but now we're getting further up in the price range, and this is probably high end of what we might think of as intermediate instruments. So this is made by a company called Pono, and it's a solid wood instrument. The top is made out of cedar. The back and the sides are made from acacia. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's a beautiful instrument, and an absolute joy to play. I'm going to be using this to demonstrate most of the things we look at in these videos. So, as I mentioned earlier, the soprano and the concert and tenor are tuned to the same notes but at different pitches. So, what are those notes? G, C, E, A. So the ukulele, unusually for a string instrument, normally has the highest pitched note nearest your head. So that's the highest, and then lowest, higher, higher. There are players who like to put a low G on here, which gives you a more conventional feel for a stringed instrument, but I kind of like what the high string nearest your head gives you. So I'm not going to show you loads of chords in these videos, but I am going to show you 3 in this opening video. And they are the C chord, the F chord, and the G chord. I'm going to superimpose chord charts over the top of my wonderful face as I play these, so you can kind of see what they would look like if you pick them up in the book. But essentially, the C chord, you're putting one finger just behind the 3rd fret on the top string. The F chord, you are putting a finger behind the 1st fret on the 2nd string and behind the 2nd fret on the 4th string. The G chord, you are putting a finger behind the 2nd fret on the top string, behind the 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and behind the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. C, F, G, C. Okay, that's enough for this video. As I say, tune into part 2, where we will have a look at those chords again. We'll simplify them even more and see how we can use them to accompany a song. Okay, happy playing. See you soon.